Welcome, friends, to Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter. We bring you the greatest female voices in the music industry, from the artists, songwriters, and producers, to managers and executives, and all the women who make the music industry what it is today. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Crazy Women Country. Tonight, we are here with Miss Victoria Banks, singer-songwriter. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Wonderful. I'm so happy that you're here.
Me too. We've been looking forward to this for a while, so it's great that the day's finally here.
Absolutely. So we always start off with the one of the hardest questions ever. Who is Victoria Banks?
Oh, you mean I'm supposed to know the answer to that already?
Yeah, I was hoping. I know that you're a Canadian singer-songwriter. I know that. I know that you've toured with Reba. I know, and Terry Clark, and you've written songs for her, and Sarah Evans. I know all this, but you might want to tell everyone else.
Okay, let me. So, yes, I'm originally from Canada, but Nashville has been home for a long time, and I've been a staff songwriter for publishers on Music Row in Nashville for many years. So I've written songs for Sarah Evans, Terry Clark, Carly Pierce, Cassidy Pope, people like that. I've written a ton of songs with Mickey Guyton, so she's having quite a successful past year or so. So that's very exciting to see that happen for her and to be a little part of that. So I've spent most of my career writing songs for other people, but I've also got another side to what I do, which is making my own records. And that kind of came out of the necessity of, nobody else was recording the ones that meant the most to me, and I wanted to get them out in the world. So I started making my own records and have now released 4 records, and my most recent one, I built all the tracks, recorded all the instruments myself, so it was very much a homemade project. But through that artist side of my career, I've had the chance to do some really incredible opening act touring. So I've opened for Reba McEntire, Randy Travis, Lone Star, Wynonna Judd, and had a chance to take home some awards from the Canadian Country Music Association. So I won Female Artist of the Year and Songwriter of the Year in 2010 from them. So it's kind of a two-sided thing, the artist and the songwriter. And I'm also now a teacher because I teach songwriting at Belmont University on Music Row in Nashville.
Wonderful. So I think we had a couple of your students, well, at least one that I know that I think you have, Miss Macy Dot. She was on one of our shows. So yeah, It's always cool to see that. Love watching the young artists grow.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love teaching, and I didn't know it was something that I sort of was given the opportunity to do, and I didn't know quite how I felt about it. I thought it would be fun, but I had no idea how much I would love it. And now that I'm doing it, this is my first year teaching at Belmont. So I just really love having the chance to pay forward some of the things that I've learned the hard way, and hopefully saving people some time and some pain in the music business, in finding their way as songwriters, and It feels like a little bit like I get to steer the ship in a better direction with the information that, whatever you pay for it helps to mold what the future of the music business is going to be in a lot of ways. So that excites me.
And as a woman who occasionally writes songs, I look up to that because I love when people give back. I think that is that's something I try to do myself in what I do normally. But it's just, there's nothing better than having someone that's kind of like that mentor or that person that helps you. And you just always remember that your whole life, that person helped me. And then when you help someone else, you're like, it's like that full circle feeling sometimes too.
Absolutely. It's an industry in music or anything creative. The industries are very competitive out there, and I love to sort of help to promote a sense of more collaboration than competition. So when something good happens for you, you bring up the rest of your team with you, and you reach out and help the next one in line, like the great Laurie McKenna says in the Tim McGraw song, Humble and Kind. So yeah, it's very important to think of things in that way in terms of what can I give and how can I use these good things that are happening to me in a way that's positive for others too, instead of, feeling like you're competing for a few slots.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful. So let me ask, with your songwriting now, do you prefer songwriting over singing, or now, obviously, as you've evolved into the artist, which was always your favorite? Do you think?
Songwriting has always been where my heart is for me. I started off just wanting to be a songwriter for other people. I had no greater aspiration than to be the small print under somebody else's name on the back of a record, and back when you could buy records like that.
And
and
CDs and
yeah, CDs, exactly. Now it's like, well, I can sell you a CD or you can use it for a coaster, whatever works. But, everything is streaming now, and now they're making it better so that you can actually see the credits on things. But that was my aspiration, was I wanted to be a songwriter for other people. I just love the craft, and I love how songwriting affects people, and I wanted to learn how that works. So the first things that I did when I moved to Nashville was I started going to the Bluebird Cafe back when you could get in there all the time and it wasn't a big lineup. And I would go in there and I'd sit in the cheap seats and I would watch my heroes, songwriters, perform the songs that they'd written that I loved so much. And I would just I'd listen to the stories they told about where the songs came from, and I would soak them up and try to take apart in my mind, why is it affecting me this way? Why does that line make me want to cry? Why does this put a lump in my throat? Why does this raise the hair on the back of my neck? What are they doing? And so I sort of tried to take it apart that way and teach myself those things. And that was the craft of songwriting to me, especially being in Nashville, in the Mecca, in the middle of it all. There's no more noble cause in music, as far as I'm concerned. And then the singing kind of came as a second choice. Really, it was I was offered that door to walk through, so I walked through it. I made a CD of my own materials because no one else was recording them, and then a record label was like, "Hey, we really like this. Would you like to have a record deal?" And I was like, "Okay." So, would you like to tour? Okay. So I just said yes to a lot of things that scared me, but it led me in that direction of singing. But then it became sort of clear to me that I had to make a choice between those two things, that they were really the way that I love to do songwriting and being an artist are really two different full-time careers, and I couldn't do both well. And so I decided to sort of back off on the singing side of things to focus more on the songwriting side, because that's where my heart is. And also, it's just, I feel like I can keep learning and growing as a songwriter and stretching that muscle until the day that I die. Whereas with singing, your machine doesn't work so well as you get older, So it's just something, and it works with my phase of life right now as a mom. I've got two little girls at home, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. So I don't have to be on tour and gone all the time. And that makes a really big difference. I was touring pretty heavily when my eldest turned 1, and I missed her learning how to walk, and I was out there on the road getting videos on my phone from my husband and crying, and then I was like, no, this is not the life that I want. I want to be there. So yeah.
Oh. So we'd have to get your own bus for you to go out on tour with, so that way you could take the kids with you and the husband, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it would have to be.
Oh. No, totally understandable. We all make choices and follow those paths and follow our hearts, and that's whatever makes you happy is what you should do. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that too. It's funny because when you're young, you see the world through the eyes of what people out there think success is. Mm-hmm. And so you're sort of drawn to these glamorous things that you think that's how you should gauge your success. But as you get older and you start to experience more life, you start to realize, wait a minute, I'm the one that gets to define what success is, and I get to choose based on what makes me happy and fulfilled. And it's not necessarily going to be the things that the people out there see as glamorous. So, it's kind of freeing when you come to that point in your life and you make those decisions. It's like, wait a minute, I can define this for myself, and you can try to tell me it's not cool, but I'm not going to believe you because I'm the one living it.
Oh, you have a great point. That is, yes, absolutely, 100%, right there with you.
Yeah.
I think it's so true. When we are young, we do those things, and we try to, navigate through what everyone else thinks we should navigate through, and do and we discover our own selves and what we can do. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
Wow. So, who are some of the women though that have inspired you to write, to do the songwriting?
So when I started off learning about songwriting, I took it on like it was a school project. Like I had a binder and I wrote down names in the binder of songwriters that I was interested in following or knowing more about. And basically every kind of music, every bit of music that I consumed, I would look up who the songwriters were behind it, and I would write those songwriters into my binder. And I still have it here in my office, a little tiny binder. Here it is. My little green binder right here, and it's all in alphabetical order, and it's got names in it. And then I would put the songwriter name and then the name of the song, and I would see some songwriters start to get more and more and more song titles under them, and then I would be like, who are these people? And then I would put a little star beside those ones, and they became my heroes, that I really admired. So Beth Nielsen Chapman is one of them. Matraca Berg is a big one. Gosh, yeah. And I mean, there weren't a lot of women in this realm. There still aren't a lot of women in this realm of songwriting in the Nashville music industry behind the scenes. It's very male dominated. But as time has gone on, Gretchen Peters is another one. I just saw her name in there. She's a great one. As time went on, I started to actually have access to some of those people and to be able to write songs with some of them. And one of them is one of my dearest co-writers. Her name is Tia Sillers. She actually introduced me to my husband, which is funny. And we won the Songwriter of the Year award together in Canada for a song that we wrote. But she wrote a song called I Hope You Dance, which is a tremendous hit. And she's written a ton of other things for Dixie Chicks and Alan Jackson and a bunch of stuff. And she's just a really incredible songwriter. So she would definitely be what I would consider an influence, but someone that I got to have gotten to work with and be friends with, which is really cool. That mentorship thing.
It's definitely awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some great songwriters. So I'm like, when you were mentioning, I'm like, yep. I'm like, and you're right. Cause it's like, as someone that's looked up to songwriters, I mean, I can remember a time, and this is before Google, for those of you who are born later in life here, let's call it that in the aughts here. But before Google, I'd be driving, I'd be like, I can call the radio station. I would call the radio station, finally get through and be like, who sang this song? Okay.
Yeah.
Now tell me who wrote it. They're like, oh, hold on, just a second. They'd actually look it up. But I mean, with the stuff we have to go through to find those people.
Absolutely. And I loved when they had music videos with the songwriters credited on the music videos. That was a big way of finding that out too. I loved that.
Yes.
But quite all too often, the songwriters are the unsung heroes behind behind the songs, and they are in the payment structures right now too, which is just really it's disappointing that we undervalue the people who create the music on the ground level, because there would be no music industry without the songwriters. It's built completely on their backs, and unfortunately in financial ways built on their backs a lot too. So hopefully that's something we can change as we go forward.
Yes, hopefully. Yes. So I know I've seen some new legislation out there and things, and and like I said, I'm kind of outside of the realm, so it's interesting to see how things evolve, and all we can do is fight and try to get better pay for that in general, because I think it's been underpaid for way too long.
It's been a long time, but the music industry is always a bit of an elephant. It's always slow to move and change, and technology changes quicker than it does, and it takes some catching up. So I think we're just in that phase, especially right now. We're in the catching up phase from the internet and streaming, and
Mhm.
trying to figure out how that should all work in a way that's fair. So I think it's hard to predict how things are going to look in another 10 or 20 years, but I guarantee they'll be a lot different than they are right now, which is one of the great things about the music business. It's always constantly changing.
Yes, that's so true. That is absolutely. So, are you ready for our fun little segment that we call 20 questions plus one?
Sure, absolutely. Hit me with
Okay.
it.
Okay, there are no right or wrong answers except for one that might have a right or wrong answer, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Sure.
Okay. So, early bird or night owl?
Oh, I was a night owl all the way through until I had children, and now I am a very begrudging early bird because they wake up at about 5:30 in the morning, and if it's a day off, it'll be even earlier because they just have a sense for that. So, yep, early bird. Oh.
Oh. Do you at least get nap time in there? Because they're younger yet, so.
Yeah, well, not so much. It's like that. Now I'm like, that is why parents love screen time so much, because that's the one. When nap time goes away, it's like, watch this screen for an hour so I can go and breathe and have a cup of tea. Yeah.
Oh. So, if you could be the member of a sitcom family or TV show, what show would it be?
Ooh, I think, I was gonna say This Is Us, but I don't know that I would want to be in that family. They're a little too dramatic. So I think maybe How I Met Your Mother, because I always loved that show. But it's that sort of Friends thing. I always love the Friends thing. It's like, oh, how cool it would be to have friends that all hung out together and went to the same bar to eat every night, that kind of thing. I mean, Friends is also that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a great one. So, what is your guilty pleasure music?
ABBA. I love ABBA. Everything about ABBA, I love it. But it's so hooky. It's just
It is.
so completely hooky. The melodies are so hooky, and sometimes the lyrics are really weird because I think I mean, English is their second language, and you can kind of tell. But it doesn't matter because the music is so incredible and the melodies are so incredible. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited. Have you heard that they're doing it's not going to be a tour. It's really weird. They've actually built a some kind of a venue that they're going to be doing their performances at for their reunion tour, except that it's not going to actually be them because they're going to hologram themselves. So everybody's going to go to the show. It's kind of like going to a Broadway show, but you have to go to this place and see the holograms of ABBA playing. They'll probably be like the young versions of themselves playing their music. And tell you what, they will probably sell out. So it's probably brilliant. And they can sit at home on their couch and not even have to do anything and just collect the money from their holograms performing.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Sign us up for that job too.
Exactly.
Oh, actually, I've just seen they have the new after they have the Masked Singing show on, where people, obviously artists and other people sing, and so that's been kind of a cool new singing show. And then the other one I was thinking was the one after that. Now, I can't even think what it's called. Oh my goodness, it's where they are behind the scenes and they have an avatar basically. I'm like, that is a really good singing competition because you're singing on the vocals. It's all about the vocals in the song, and it is, you don't even see the real person. I'm like, that is really cool. Like,
yeah,
it is the really voice, cool.
Yeah, because we get so caught up in how people look in celebrity, right? So yeah, I think it's really neat that we've gone into that realm of what is this art just in itself without the person attached to it? What is that? And yeah, that's kind of fun to explore.
As soon as you started saying about the hologram, like, that's what it's thinking of. I'm just like, this is all, like, yeah, everything's just coming together.
Yes.
Oh, so what's the weirdest or sweetest thing a fan has ever done for you?
Ooh, so there are two. Both are sweet. Weird didn't come to mind, so that's a good thing. One of them is someone that was a fan of my music actually ended up putting a song lyric from one of my songs on their headstone. They carved it into their headstone. And that was really, I mean, I can't even describe how it feels as a songwriter to see. They sent me a picture of it, to see a picture of my song lyrics on someone's headstone. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more than that in life, to write something that important. So that was brilliant. And then the other thing was there was a fan who, his father was an incredible beading artist. He would do that sort of Native American beadwork. And he, I guess, was really touched by some of the music that I wrote. And he used it when his wife passed away at her funeral. It's like a funeral thing going on. But then he made a project after she passed away out of making this beaded necklace that's my face. And it's like my face and my hair. And then after he died, it was presented to me by his son. And his son just said, I hope you know how important your music has been in our family's life. And this is how my father chose to spend the last few months of his life, was making this beaded necklace of your face from the album cover. And I've got it hanging up in my living room, and it's just so beautiful, and it's just wild. I never met him, and I love that music can just reach across time and space to places that you've never gone and impact people without you even being there or knowing it. You never know what your music's doing out there in the world. That's one of the things I love so much about songwriting.
And those are two awesome, sweet things. I mean, those are just amazing. Those really are. So, boots or heels?
Oh, definitely boots for me. I won't do heels anymore. I've never really been a heels person, but I've stopped doing heels completely. You'll, even on a red carpet, I'll be in high tops tennis shoes now. Once I had babies, I was like, I can't pick up a baby and walk around in heels. I'm going to drop them on their head. Not cool.
Yeah. And most of those events are all day too. So I can imagine wearing, like, I used to wear heels, corporate job. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that, especially because of the venues and stuff you're at.
Absolutely, yeah, it's ridiculous. And the things that we do for fashion, it's so uncomfortable. I mean, especially going through COVID, it was just funny when we all had to stay home, and then we stopped putting on makeup and we stopped doing our hair, and we were like, wait, this feels really good. Like, I didn't have to do this every day. We stopped wearing pants that were too constricting. And so now coming back out in the world, it's like, okay, this is a toned down version of me that just has a little bit more comfort in the fashion.
There's nothing wrong with that. Love it. Favorite drink?
My favorite drink. Ooh, there's lots of different ones, but this is a very, maybe a Canadian answer, but Earl Grey tea. Like Earl Grey tea, and that's my guilty pleasure is Earl Grey tea with lots of honey and cream in it, and I have that before bed while I watch my How I Met Your Mother TV show.
Oh, it's Canadian and British, I guarantee. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure Paul's gonna have a show based all on teas and stuff and talking about him. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit over here. I'll just have a sip of whatever tea I have laying around. I'm good.
Yep.
Typical American here, yeah.
The whole thing and the preparation of it. Whenever we had friends stop by when I was growing up, my mom would make a big deal out of making a pot of tea in the big teapot, and then they put a tea cozy on top to keep it warm, and you'd sit around and everybody would have some tea, and that was kind of the thing that we did. Very British, I guess.
Yeah. So what's your favorite holiday?
Halloween is my favorite. I like the dark side, the scary stuff. That was always been drawn to that. So yeah, Halloween. My daughter, who's 6, is a huge fan of Thanksgiving, which makes me really happy because I'm like, Thanksgiving is not usually the choice for little kids. It's usually either the candy, the full on candy of Halloween, or the Christmas extravaganza of gifts. But she likes Thanksgiving, so I like that. I'm like,
Oh.
maybe I'm doing something right as a parent.
Oh, I'm with her. I'm at the age of Thanksgiving, food down. That's it.
She just likes the pie. That's all she cares. But I haven't I mean, I'm like, well, they
Love
have
it.
pie at Christmas too, but she doesn't. She likes Thanksgiving. But plus, she gets two of them because we celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving,
See?
and she's a dual citizen through me, so that
Yeah.
means it's two, and
Two
that's pretty.
Thanksgivings. Yeah. That's why. There's two of them. That's why it's the favorite. I get it now. I totally get it.
Probably why.
Oh, so favorite animal.
My favorite animal. That's a hard one. So you're talking to someone who got a degree in zoology? Because I
Oh, there's something you don't hear every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So zoology was my thing. And so I guess if I had to choose, it would be a fish. And that is even weirder, but that was my specialty, was ichthyology. It was freshwater fish. And that's what my degree is in. That's what I was gonna go off and do for a career after I graduated from college, except that I wrote song lyrics all over every page of everything that I was trying to do at school. And then one thing led to another after graduation, and the job that was waiting for me was gone. And so I was like, well, it's a blank slate, and that means I can listen to my heart and go do songwriting, and that's what I did. But yeah, fish, freshwater fish. Probably a good smallmouth bass is my favorite. My favorite animal.
Oh. So if you could put someone on Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why? And we're not talking political here. We're talking whoever. Anyone. You can pick anyone.
Oh, it would have to be a songwriter, but which one is the question? Yeah. Ooh, that's hard. Because there's so many great songwriters. I mean, it could be like Bruce Springsteen, maybe. He would be pretty cool. He's got the American thing going for him, but he's also a really great crafter of songs, and a lot of people who are legendary songwriters look to him as an influence too. So maybe Bruce Springsteen.
Great choice. So, what was your first concert?
My first concert was the Eagles' Hell Freezes Over tour, and I was so thankful that they got back together. That's why it was called the Hell Freezes Over tour, because they always swore that they were never going to get back together. And of course, in high school, I discovered all this music after everyone had died that was making the music. I was like, wait, Led Zeppelin, who is this? Oh, they're dead, but or the drummer at least. But it was a lot of that. So I discovered the Eagles, and I was like, oh, they broke up. But then they got back together. So I got to go see that show, and it was amazing. And the opener for that show was a young woman playing the guitar by herself, and I couldn't believe how amazing she was, and nobody was paying attention. And her name was Sheryl Crow. So she went on to have a decent career.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. That was one of my definitely as a kid and stuff when Lilith Fair came out, and I was in my teens at that time. I wanted to go to Lilith Fair so bad. I was under 18. Mom's like, no. I'm like, oh, come on, Mom.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that amazing lady there too. That's so cool.
Yeah,
The Eagles.
to read the Lilith Fair thing again. They need to get that going again. That was amazing.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can do that. That's kind of, maybe coming up in the future for us. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So can you tell our audience a album, a songwriter, a singer, or just a simple song that they need to listen to before they die?
Before they die.
Yes, like today. Like you need to go listen to, I always say like anything by Dolly Parton, Lori McKenna. I throw a few people that they probably haven't heard, like Lori McKenna.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you said Lori McKenna, but that Lori would definitely be someone that I would say you need to go listen to her. I don't know a specific album of hers because they're all incredible. The other one that I really love though is Sean Colvin. I think the Sean Colvin's Few Small Repairs record is amazing. I actually just went and saw her perform live, and it was incredible too. So that's a good one too.
Wonderful. So what would be a good theme song for your life?
I think I Hope You Dance would be a good theme song. Um, just because, well, I think of it as a mom too, but it's like my thing is I don't want to ever be too scared of something to say yes to an opportunity. And I think that's what that song says. And that's what I've kind of learned in my life is just say yes to things, to opportunities. Say yes to things that you think are too hard, that you think you're not qualified for, that you think you have no business doing. Say yes to them anyway. And that's what leads you into the most incredible experiences of your life. And that's, I said yes to being a songwriter, and I said yes to being an artist, and I said yes to being a teacher, and all of those things I didn't know if I had the ability to do. But yeah, I Hope You Dance.
You know, I just want to say, if no one has learned from you yet that you should say yes to things that you're terrified of, you should probably be learning that lesson today, people. Just saying, because that is definitely inspiring in anything you do.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite author or book? Hold on. Whoop, Tigger, you gotta sit down, buddy. Say hi, Tigger. Okay.
Hello. A favorite author or book? So my favorite book is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. There's just so much wisdom in it, packed into it. There's a million song ideas in it. And it's like an instruction manual for life a little bit too. So that would be, I've got it right here in my office. And yeah, I love that one. I go back to it over and over again. It means different things at different times in your life too.
Wonderful. What is the best thing since sliced bread?
Is this question 21?
No.
I was going to say Paula. No. So the best thing since sliced bread is being a mom. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, watching your little people grow up and getting to be a part of that, watching them learning how to navigate the impossible things that parenthood does to you. Like, how are you supposed to? I don't know how to negotiate this with a 6-year-old. But it's just so cool seeing how their minds work and watching that happen. And I'm really glad that I got to be one because we actually adopted both of our girls. So my husband and I went through infertility battles for a long time, and we had to make a decision of how badly we wanted to be parents. And we decided that we wanted to be parents badly enough to go through the process of adoption, and it was absolutely worth it. And I can't imagine my life any other way now. So yeah.
And I'm just gonna say thank you. As the daughter of a woman that was adopted, my mom was adopted. My grandparents were my grandparents, and it was just, yeah. I couldn't imagine my mom being born to someone else, and yeah. So,
yeah, and it just, if anything, it really just, adopting a child just reminds you that they're not yours to keep. They're just borrowed, and that's the way all children are. It's just a little more obvious for us.
if you could talk to anyone, alive or dead, who would it be, and what would you want to talk about?
Huh.
I promise, no more hard ones after this.
This is a really hard one. Well, I mean, I just think it would be God. I would want to ask God some questions, I would want to ask about pain. I think I'm starting to understand why there's pain, because I can see in my own life what it does to you and the positive things that it can do for your life. But I would love to know if there's a rhyme or reason to pain and who experiences it. And because sometimes the people that go through, well, always, the people that go through pain, it seems it seems completely random, and especially for young children, when you just, it breaks your heart. So I would have some questions for God. That would be my person.
I like that. So if you weren't doing music and possibly zoology, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing music or zoology, I would be a healthcare worker, probably a nurse, potentially a doctor. I went through nursing school almost all the way and never got finished, because that was my plan B for when music got too hard to support myself with. But then other opportunities came up and I never finished. But it was a really incredible experience doing that, and I felt like I was using the same approach to life in nursing as I was in songwriting, where it's about leaning into the hard moments and looking at them and talking about them and communicating and really just trying to be what people need in those moments, and advocating and speaking up and all of that stuff, that it has a place in songwriting too. So yeah.
That's really cool. I like this. Some people have a plan B, because some people they're like, I'm in Nashville, there's no plan B. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like food. Just saying.
Yeah. It's very glamorous to say that there's no plan B, and people in the music business like to say that. They think that that's what you should say, but to be honest, it's a lot better to come from a place of not being desperate when you're doing music and any kind of negotiation about your music. It's good if you're not desperate. So it does help to have a plan B.
Oh. So if you could be a Disney character, what character would you be?
I think I would probably be Ariel, the singing mermaid that kind of just leaves her family territory and goes somewhere else just because she dreams of some other place, because that's kind of what I did coming to Nashville. I mean, I was raised on music, but it was classical music, so I'm very much the black sheep of the family, being here so far from home and doing what I'm doing.
Oh. No, I would have never thought that'd be in the black sheep, because it's still music, but I get it. I get the whole, different genre.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's okay. We love you as a black sheep. So, favorite flavor of ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip. That's my favorite.
A favorite go-to snack?
Kettle corn, that popcorn that's sugary. I break lots of teeth on that. It's bad.
In a good way. So, hypothetically, if I need to hide a body, do you know a good place?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Canada. There's lots of good places that I know. I worked in the lakes up there. I know my way around.
Good to know. I think I might have to call you first.
Yeah,
Although I'm not sure about the whole international travel with it. I'm not. Yeah.
You can get across the border, but if you could get across the border, then I could definitely help you.
All right. So our number 21 question here is coming up. It's the most important question of your life. Who is your favorite CWC host?
Oh, Paula, for sure.
Okay, so Paula, you're beating Tigger here. Tigger's getting upset. I just want you to know that's why she's here.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry to miss Paula today, but it's super fun talking with you. And I know it's hard. I'm a podcast host too. I've got a little podcast that I do about women in entertainment called The Table Women, and I co-host. And I know how difficult it is if it's just you. And you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Sometimes it's just hard. It's good. It's easier when there are two people to kind of bounce things off, for sure.
Yeah, because we definitely think of different questions. I come from the songwriter perspective, because I am definitely that's where my passion has always been, like in the songwriting of it. So, I come from, and then she'll come more from the fan side of the singer side, and it's just that whole kind of just we come from those different areas and it clicks together perfect. So yeah. So we're winding down here in 2021. So, do you have any big plans for the rest of this year, and what's happening for 2022? Some more teaching and.
Yeah. So more teaching. I'm always playing shows sort of as they come in. Most of my shows are around Nashville, so I'll play at the Bluebird Cafe, the Listening Room, places like that. And within driving distance of Nashville, I go play in other states as well. I think I've got a show coming up January 7th at the Von Braun Center down in Huntsville, Alabama. And I play usually in the summer. I'll do a gig or two down at the Atlanta area, that kind of thing. And I've got a couple things booking in Canada now again too, which is nice because that border was closed for a long time. But now they're open back up and starting to book things again. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, Nashville is home base, and my office here at Belmont, where I'm writing songs for other people and teaching people how to write songs, and then the odd touring, the odd probably one-off or two shows here and there, and lots of parenting.
I think parenting is a full-time job times 2 in general. Just
absolutely,
yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm gonna quote the one Luke Bryan song that he sings, and it says that most mamas are saints, and yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean that was like a perfect lyric thrown in there. So anyway,
yeah. I will not argue with that.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure having you, and you are welcome to come visit anytime and join us again.
Yeah, well, thanks for talking, Donna. I really appreciated your questions. It was fun to get a chance to talk finally.
Absolutely. And thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Crazy Women Country. Have a great day. If you enjoyed today's episode of Crazy Women Country, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Be sure to click the subscribe button for new interviews weekly. And thank you, friends, for joining us today on Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter.